So the question is, what was the story purpose and/or creative history behind the legalization and apparent general acceptance of non-consensual sex in human society from Three Worlds Collide, where Three Worlds Collide is a story that I wrote. So the notion that non-consensual sex is not illegal and appears to be socially accepted might seem a bit out of place in the story, as if it had been grafted on. This is correct. It was grafted on from a different story in which, for example, theft is, well, not so much legal because they don't have what you could call a strong centralized government, but rather, say, theft is in general, something that you'd pull off by being clever rather than a horrible crime, but of course you would never steal a book. And this, in this society, everything, I have yet to publish a really good story set in this world. They all seemed, most of them I haven't finished. The one that I have finished, I think, still has other story problems. But if you were to see the story set in this world, then you would see that it, develops out of a much more organic thing in which, say, dueling, theft, non-consensual sex, all of these things are governed by tradition rather than by law, and they certainly aren't prohibited outright. So why did I pick up that one aspect from that story and put it into Three Worlds Collide? Well, partially it was because I wanted at that point to introduce a culture clash between their future and our past, and that was a something, that's what came to mind, more or less. It was both as something to test out, to see what sort of reaction it got, to see if I could get away with putting it into this other story, and because it's a sort of exemplar. When one can't use theft, the Three Worlds Collide society actually does run on private property. One can't use dueling. Their medical technology isn't advanced enough to make that trivial. But you can use non-consensual sex and try to explain sort of what happens in a society where people are less afraid and not afraid of the same things. They're stronger than we are in some senses. They don't need as much protection. The consequences are not the same consequences that we know, and the people there can generally are sort of like generally have a higher grade of ethics and are less likely to abuse things. That's what made that sort of particular culture clash feature a convenient thing to pick up from one story and graft onto the other, but ultimately it was a graft. And any feelings of why is that there that you have might make a bit more sense if you saw the other story, if I can ever repair the flaws in it or manage to successfully set and complete and publish a story set in that world that actually puts the world on display.